Stellar XLM eyes 30 cents breakout as altcoin momentum builds. The 30 cents signal why it matters. Bitcoin is inching closer to six figures. Ethereum is heating up with ETF rumors. Meme coins are going parabolic on zero fundamentals. But beneath all the noise and hype, Stellar XLM is quietly preparing for a move that most aren't ready for. While everyone's distracted by what's loud, Stellar is reclaiming serious technical territory, and the charts are flashing signals that only seasoned traders are noticing. Right now, XLM is hovering around 28 cents, but that's not the story. The story is what's happening under the surface. Over the past several weeks, Stellar has methodically reclaimed the 50-day, 100-day, and 200-day exponential moving averages. Not once, not temporarily, but with conviction. That's not noise. That's intentional accumulation. And if you know what to look for, the structure speaks volumes. Historically, when XLM has stacked its EMAs like this, when price consolidates above all major moving averages in a tightening range, it's a prelude to explosive upside. It's not hopium. It's technically sound setup behavior. Zoom out and you'll see it. The long-term downtrend that started in 2022? Broken. The death cross dynamics? Reversed. RSI? Climbing but not overextended. Volume? Drying up just below resistance, a classic pre-breakout compression pattern. This isn't a random spike waiting to collapse. It's the kind of slow, grinding structure that wears people down, flushes out impatience, and sets up the perfect storm. Because when a move does come, it catches the majority off guard. And that 30 cents level is not just psychological. It's multi-month horizontal resistance. A level that's rejected price multiple times, going all the way back to early 2023. If XLM flips it with strength and volume, it won't crawl higher, it'll rip. Why? Because price memory matters. And above 30 cents, there's an air pocket of thin resistance all the way up to 40 cents and beyond. But here's the kicker. Most people won't see it coming until it's already too late. They'll wait for headlines. They'll wait for confirmation. They'll wait until XLM is already up 30%, 40%, even 60%, and then they'll FOMO in trying to chase a move that started weeks earlier. And that's what smart money counts on. Getting in when it's boring, holding while it's quiet, and exiting into retail euphoria. Right now, Stellar is doing what it always does before major breakouts. Trade under the radar. Consolidate just beneath key resistance. Build quiet strength while the rest of the market is distracted. It's in these moments, not during the hype, not during the breakout, but right before, that fortunes are made. Because if XLM confirms above 30 cents, the market dynamic shifts immediately. Algorithms turn bullish. Swing traders pile in. Social sentiment flips. Volume explodes. And what started as a sleepy altcoin becomes a momentum engine. This is where structure meets opportunity. And by the time Stellar is at $0.40, then $0.50, and the influencers are tweeting about the next breakout altcoin, the breakout will already be in full motion. This isn't about chasing pumps. It's about identifying the setup before it becomes obvious. And right now, XLM is telegraphing one of the cleanest technical setups in the market. Ignore it, and you'll be watching it run from the sidelines. Anticipate it, and you could be positioned before the masses even notice. Why the market's sleeping on a parabolic catch-up move? Let's talk cycles. Not hopium, not headlines, but real market structure. We've watched Solana pull a 10x while the entire world suddenly remembered it exists. We've watched AVAX get its layer 1 moment with hype-fueled liquidity incentives. We've seen meme coins, some of them with zero utility and anonymous devs, explode to multi-billion-dollar valuations on nothing but momentum and Twitter engagement. But Stellar? Silent, steady, slept on. And that's exactly why it's a threat to the rest of the altcoin market right now. Because this is how catch-up moves start. Not with noise, but with positioning. Here's what most people miss. When an altcoin underperforms while the rest of the market runs, it builds spring-loaded upside potential. It doesn't mean it's broken. It means it's being ignored, and in a rotational market, ignored equals opportunity. Just look at the setup. Multi-year downtrend? Broken and retested. EMA stack on daily and weekly? Flipped bullish. Volume? Declining into resistance, classic pre-breakout compression. RSI? Climbing without overextension, hidden strength. Structure? Higher lows grinding toward a major breakout level. Everything about this chart says coiled energy. But it gets deeper. Let's talk mean reversion, the market's great equalizer. Stellar hasn't just lagged behind the meme coin mania or Ethereum layer 2 hype. It's lagged 2 full cycles. While the narrative moved from ICOs to DeFi to NFTs to AI, Stellar's been quietly building infrastructure, the kind that doesn't trend on Twitter, but ends up powering trillions in real-world volume. And in crypto, cycles rotate. Money flows out of overbought narratives and into quiet value. That's what makes Stellar so lethal right now. Because the market is saturated with inflated tokens chasing diminishing returns. And when the capital starts looking for underpriced infrastructure with real-world utility, it's not going to rotate into more hype. It's going to rotate into substance. And Stellar is substance. This isn't a meme coin praying for Elon's next tweet. This is a battle-tested protocol that spent the last 24 months deepening integrations with the legacy banking system, activating smart contract capabilities through Soroban, partnering with players like MoneyGram, Circle, and HODLERS, powering cross-border payments, asset issuance, and real-world tokenization, positioning itself to become the invisible plumbing of global value transfer. And guess what? The market isn't even pricing that in yet. Because for now, all eyes are still on what's already pumped. But that won't last. At some point, and it always happens this way, capital rotates, attention shifts, sentiment flips. And when the market wakes up to what Stellar has actually built while everyone else was chasing volatility, it won't be a slow grind. It'll be a re-rating. Not 5% a week. Not 10% a month. We're talking parabolic acceleration. The kind of move that goes from 30 cents to 80 cents in weeks. Not because of hype, but because the market suddenly realizes it mispriced the asset entirely. That's how catch-up moves work. They come late. They come fast. They leave no entry behind. And if you're not already positioned, you're forced to chase or miss it altogether. Stellar's sitting on the edge of that moment right now. And when it goes, it's not just a breakout, it's a reckoning. Because all the time it spent consolidating, all the underperformance it endured, all the building it did when no one was watching. It didn't kill the asset, primed it for something violent, something rebalancing, something no one will believe until it's already happened. So while the market sleeps on Stellar, you might want to stay wide awake. Institutional quiet phase, what they're building while you're distracted. Here's the hard truth. If you're waiting for CNBC to tell you Stellar's breaking out, you're already too late. Because the real players, the institutions, the banks, the infrastructure funds, they're not broadcasting their moves. They're building, quietly, aggressively, and without retail in the room. Let's start with what no one's talking about. Institutional presence on Stellar has never been higher. You don't need headlines. You just need to look at what's been quietly happening under the surface. MoneyGram's on-chain ramping and off-ramping of fiat through Stellar, quietly onboarding users in over 180 countries, many of whom have no idea they're even using blockchain. Circle's USDC deployed natively on Stellar, enabling fast, final settlement in a way Ethereum simply can't match on fees or speed. HODLERS, a new player building real-world DeFi use cases directly on Soroban, targeting the $10 trillion global trade finance market. Visa, Flutterwave, Tempo, and Bitso, all integrated into the Stellar ecosystem through partnerships or corridors that scale real value, not vapor. But here's the real alpha. None of these moves were designed to pump price. They were designed to build rails, infrastructure, a compliant, regulated, battle-tested layer that institutions can use without risking brand exposure. That's the hidden game here. Because while the crypto crowd was chasing meme pumps and shouting "wag me," Stellar was architecting an invisible financial backbone, one that lets institutions move stablecoins, settle cross-border transactions, and tokenize real-world assets at scale. And now, that infrastructure is live. But most retail doesn't see it yet because it's not sexy. It's not listed on trending pages. It's not shilled by influencers. It's quiet traction, and that's exactly how institutional money wants it. Because the moment this hits mainstream attention, the entry points are gone. Here's what you need to understand. Institutions don't FOMO. They accumulate. And accumulation doesn't look like green candles. It looks like months of sideways price action while smart money builds a position. It looks like low volatility while volume quietly increases. It looks like liquidity traps that shake out weak hands. It looks like on-chain activity diverging from price, which is exactly what's happening with XLM right now. The wallets are waking up. The infrastructure is ready. And the rails have been tested at scale. This isn't speculation anymore. It's rollout. And if you're still wondering why XLM is hovering under 30 cents, ask yourself this. What happens when institutions stop accumulating quietly and start deploying publicly? Because that shift from silent infrastructure build-out to loud capital activation is when everything changes. That's when price disconnects from the past. That's when the market realizes Stellar is not a legacy altcoin. It's a sleeping layer 1 financial network with global rails already in motion. And the repricing that follows? It won't be based on hype. It'll be based on the fact that real money is already here. Most won't realize until it's too late. But you're here now, watching, noticing, positioning. This is the quiet phase. And it never stays quiet for long. The Soroban factor. Why smart contracts change the entire game. Let's get one thing straight. Stellar was never meant to compete with Ethereum. It was built to do what Ethereum can't. Move value globally, instantly, and at near zero cost. But for years, that strength came with one big trade-off. No native smart contracts. That changes now. Because Soroban, Stellar's native smart contract platform, is live. It's not theory. It's not testnet. It's not coming soon. It's here. And it's unlike anything the DeFi world is ready for. While everyone was watching Ethereum gas fees hit $50 plus, and Solana pray for uptime, Stellar was quietly engineering Soroban from the ground up with one goal. Bring smart contracts to real finance with speed, scalability, and compliance baked in. This isn't another DeFi casino clone. Soroban is designed for institutions, for real businesses, for regulated markets that require auditability, predictable execution, and settlement finality, not just speculation. And here's where it gets wild. Most people think DeFi means spinning up a token and yield farming on day one. But Soroban flips the script. It's not about attracting Ponzi liquidity. It's about enabling real-world finance, trade finance, tokenized cash, FX swaps across borders, programmable payments with compliance hooks built in. We're talking about the plumbing of the future financial system, not just another DEX. And Soroban? It's uniquely positioned for it. Why? Because Stellar didn't just bolt Soroban onto its protocol like an afterthought. They designed it to run in parallel with the Stellar core, giving smart contracts direct access to stablecoins, native assets, and cross-border rails, all while maintaining the performance and predictability Stellar is known for. That's a massive unlock. Because now, you've got the speed of a payments chain with the logic of programmable finance. Want to settle a loan in real time based on external market triggers? Done. Want to automate FX conversions for an NGO operating across 5 currencies? Live. Want to tokenize invoices and stream payments across borders with compliance built in? That's exactly what Soroban was built to do. And guess who's paying attention? Not retail, not speculators, but developers in TradFi, fintech startups, global remittance platforms looking for programmable rails without regulatory headaches. Because unlike most chains trying to add compliance after the fact, Stellar built it into the core. And that's why Soroban isn't just a smart contract platform. It's a Trojan horse into institutional DeFi. Here's what you need to remember. The market still sees XLM as a payments coin. But behind the scenes, it's becoming a programmable financial protocol. And once developers start building real use cases, not just yield loops, the demand for XLM changes overnight. Because every contract execution, every on-chain interaction, every asset issued or moved via Soroban runs through XLM for gas. No more being sidelined as the payments token while others get the DeFi shine. XLM is becoming the fuel, not just the medium. And in a world where Ethereum's fees still make microtransactions impossible, and Solana's outages scare compliance teams, Stellar with Soroban becomes the default infrastructure for programmable finance that actually works. Most haven't caught on yet. That's your edge. The 30 cents flip. What comes next? Here's what matters now. The 30 cents level isn't just a number. It's a trigger. It's the threshold between accumulation and breakout, between consolidation and revaluation, between sleeping giant and market leader. And XLM is pressing right against it. So let's break this down in simple, actionable terms. If Stellar breaks 30 cents with conviction, and we're talking about volume confirmation, not just a wick, that's your ignition point. If it holds above on the retest, with the EMAs providing support underneath, that's your confirmation. And if that flip is followed by upticks in on-chain activity, developer deployments on Soroban, or fresh institutional headlines, now we're talking liftoff. Because in crypto, there are two types of breakouts. The fake ones you chase and regret, and the real ones you wish you loaded before. This is setting up to be the second. Let's talk upside targets, not hopium, just structure and psychology. 40 cents, that's your local resistance. It lines up with previous weekly closes and failed breakout attempts from earlier cycles. A magnet for early profit-taking, but not a ceiling. 50 cents, this is the big one. A clean psychological milestone. Once we get near this level, sentiment flips. People who ignored Stellar at 28 cents start pretending they never doubted it. News headlines start catching up. Volume spikes. Twitter goes loud. $1 and beyond, now this isn't a guarantee. But here's the truth. If XLM hits a full momentum phase with fundamentals aligning, Soroban traction picking up, and capital rotating hard into undervalued L1S, a parabolic extension to $1 plus isn't crazy. Not hype-driven, not memetics, but capital rotation plus utility convergence. Because here's what most traders still don't understand. Real crypto breakouts aren't about price targets. They're about phases. And Stellar is entering the early stages of a repricing phase, a shift from forgotten infrastructure play to high-utility, high-throughput programmable settlement layer. It's already happening quietly. Real-world finance partnerships are stacking. Soroban devs are building cross-border logic into smart contracts. Stablecoin issuers are integrating Stellar rails. On-chain metrics are picking up. And yet, retail still isn't paying attention. Perfect. Because the best rallies always start in silence. No fanfare. No influencer hype. No TikToks. Just technical structure forming. Smart money positioning. And protocols quietly solving real problems under the radar. That's exactly where Stellar is right now. And when the breakout hits, when XLM flips 30 cents and confirms support, it won't be polite. It won't give you a second chance. It'll accelerate. Because this isn't about catching up to the rest of the market. It's about Stellar finally stepping into its own narrative and rewriting what comes next. And the market? It'll act surprised. But you won't be. You were watching before it was cool. If you're holding XLM, or even thinking about it, this is the moment you need to lock in. Not when it's trending. Not when influencers are tweeting moon emojis. Not when CoinMarketCap flashes it in the top gainers box. But right now, while Stellar is quietly reclaiming technical levels, while institutions are stepping back in without the crowd noticing, and while the chart is coiling beneath a breakout that could rewrite its entire price history. Because when the move starts, it won't be slow. It won't give you second chances. It'll be explosive, reflexive, and built on the kind of momentum that punishes hesitation and rewards preparation. This isn't just about making a quick 2x. This is about positioning for a long overdue re-rating of one of the most quietly integrated blockchains in crypto. So if you're serious about understanding what comes next, subscribe now to Be Crypto Smart. Because in our next video, we're going all in on a topic no one's talking about. Stellar's real competition isn't XRP anymore. It's the legacy financial system. We're talking SWIFT. We're talking correspondent banking. We're talking about the actual infrastructure Stellar is replacing, while the rest of crypto fights over speculation and hype. This is bigger than a price target. This is about the rails of the next global financial system. And Stellar is not just in the conversation. It might be the core protocol driving it. So don't wait for headlines. Don't wait for FOMO. Be early. Be smart. And we'll see you in the next one.